One of the things that I've been noticing a lot of is that in the last few years, there's been a lot of national firms that some of them hire attorneys, but most of them hire advocates, non-attorney representatives, and they fly them in or fly around the country to do hearings. And that bothers me. One of the things that we've decided as a firm is that when we go to court, it's going to be an attorney going to court. We're not going to use non-attorney representatives like a lot of these national firms. Maybe that's old-fashioned, but that's the way it's going to be at this firm. When we go to court, it's going to be one of us, and we're going to be ready, and we're not going to be a non-attorney rep. And, you know, part of it is you can't win every hearing. You try to, you want to, but sometimes, you know, especially with difficult judges, our role is to build a record so that we can be successful on appeal. Non-attorney rep can only take an appeal maybe to the appeals council, but they can't go to federal courts. They're not attorneys. So part of our job, I think, is to lay the groundwork in case we have to appeal.
And we've had some of those judges who have been here a long time, and we've been in front of them for a long time. And so they know that we have that track record. The phrase I always think of is we've earned our spurs. And they know that if it's an attorney from Caldwell and Ober, that if they issue an unfavorable decision, that isn't going to be the last judge who hears that case, because they know us. They know that we're going to keep going and going and going. And I think that makes a difference in terms of not just that one client, but in terms of clients overall.
Not only that, by doing the federal court work, you get an idea of what matters in federal court and what doesn't. So you make sure to do certain things during the hearing that if you didn't have a federal court practice, you wouldn't do. You wouldn't set it up a certain way to be able to appeal it in the federal court, and I think that matters.
True.
You know, each of us went to law school for 3 years. I would think that we learned something along the way when we were in school, but certainly we've learned a lot as attorneys in this area. So often when a person's represented by a non-attorney representative as opposed to an attorney, they're being sent in by a national law firm and they just don't know the community here like we know the community here. For instance, to be able to get disability opinions and medical records from various places within the mental health system, you just have to have navigated that as an attorney for years and be familiar with that, and we do. We have that, I guess we could call it local knowledge, but I think it's real important that our clients be represented by local attorneys as opposed to someone from out of town, especially if the person flying in from out of town is not a lawyer.
Sure. I mean, you hear these stories about someone who thinks they've hired a law firm, and on the day of the hearing, a non-attorney representative shows up, and all along they thought they were going to be represented by an attorney. They just didn't understand the distinction between the term advocate or representative and attorney. When you hear those stories, it's typically in the context of a client of one of these firms coming to you after the non-attorney representative can't appeal it in the federal court, and you're sort of left with this mess that you have to clean up or try to clean up if they haven't done the proper things during the hearing to set it up for that federal court appeal.
It is a real frustration when you're in court and you're representing your clients and you see other people in that waiting room with someone who is not an attorney and not a local person, and you just have this sick feeling that their client doesn't have the same chance that your client does. And that's not right. That's not right. The way the system should work is the same facts should always result in the same decision. But real life doesn't work that way. Real life doesn't work that way. So part of, in my opinion, part of making sure that our clients have the best chance possible of winning is to make sure that they have an attorney when they go to court, that the attorney's prepared and the attorney knows what they're doing, and if, God forbid, they lose, we can appeal it for them. So I feel very, very strongly that Every time one of our clients goes to a hearing, they get one of us. They get an experienced Arizona attorney.